records indicate that Hayden is a substance abuse counselor and the author of The Sober Addict, which is a 2020 book described as a practical guide on effectively living with and managing the lifelong dysfunctional disease of addiction. Hayden refers to himself as an ex-professional addict with over 18 years of experience in use and abuse, and stated that addicts don't choose addiction.
It is so horrific when you hear what happened, Craig and Vanessa. We can tell you that the Ford F-150 that careened into these people, according to police, are still on scene. We know that that truck that you see there hit 10 people, according to police, including a mother and a child. 3 of those people did not survive. According to investigators, police say that gray pickup truck was speeding through an intersection, blew a stop sign right here at Water Street and Jackson Street. It jumped the sidewalk and drove into the park where people were barbecuing. This all unfolding around 8:45 near Water Street and Jackson. At the park where at least 200 people, according to the NYPD, were barbecuing, all to celebrate the 4th. When EMS arrived, several people were trapped under the truck. Those who witnessed the horrific scene were told stepped in to hold the driver, who police say is a 44-year-old man who reeked of alcohol.
Next to the river, I think I know what you're talking about. I saw it.
We got it blocked off with key to the unit.
Pretty much devastated. Who thinks on 4th of July you're you're pretty safe in that area? No one had they didn't have any clue this guy was gonna come barreling down Water and Jackson Street, drunk like a skunk.
Daniel, why did you get behind the wheel?
Daniel, what do you have to say to the family? What do you have to say to the family?
Remember my sister, my nephew, Lucille, and Herman Pinckney. That's who needs to be remembered. And she has a son at home with no mother and no brother. He's home by himself without his mother and his brother. He took 2/3 of his family in one shot. One shot.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Y'all know my slogan. I don't know it all, but I know what I've been through. Now, before we get into this video, make sure you check us out on Patreon at www.patreon.com/Hookah Anonymous _. You guys been telling us to create one for the longest, so we recently created a community where we will upload videos that we can't share on YouTube due to their guidelines, but we'll also be dropping the latest to there first, behind the scenes information that you wouldn't find anywhere else on our socials. So make sure you become a member, and after you do that, head over to our official Instagram page at Hookah Anonymous _ and follow us there. Now, without further ado, let's get into what you guys came here to see. Now, today we got a crazy story, and I think this is what sums it up when people tell others not to judge a book by its cover. A lot of the times we think people got it all figured out, and we compare our lives thinking that they're doing so much better than us and their lives is just stress and drama free. But that's not always the case. We all suffer from some type of adversity, but I think it's just mainly about how you deal with it. Do you let it get to you and stop you from doing what you're doing? Or do you stand tall and face adversity knowing that everything's going to get greater later? Well, in this case, we have a man by the name of Daniel Christopher Hayden who went through adversity, got through it, or so we thought, and managed to be in a position where he would help others with their situation. From the outside looking in, it seems like Daniel had it all figured out, and with him helping and teaching others about sobriety and staying free from substances, you would think he would be doing the same. But that wasn't the case. I'm not saying anybody's perfect, because we all got our flaws and vices. But when it gets to a point where your vice or flaw have completely taken over you and caused others to lose their lives, then clearly you have a problem as well. It's something called a contradiction in itself to tell others not to do something while you indulge in it yourself. How can they listen to you and watch you do the exact same thing you're telling them not to do? Now, although it's not mentioned a lot, alcohol can also be considered a drug and just as addictive as any other substance out there. Although it's legal, some abuse it more than others, as well as put other people's lives in danger, and that's the part where things take a left turn. In this case, we have 44-year-old Daniel Hayden, who's also a substance abuse counselor that wrote a whole book on getting clean and being sober. Some would say that Daniel should have taken his own advice because during the July 4th celebration, he would recklessly crash into a group of people, injuring a total of 11, where 3 of those individuals unfortunately passed away. Now this is important because it highlights a few things. Never judge someone by thinking they got everything together just because they appear to. Because with Daniel being a substance abuse counselor, I bet nobody's seen this type of event coming from him. And then 2, your negligence can be deadly for not just you, but others that surround you if you aren't careful. Now before we get into the video, make sure you hit that thumbs up button so we can get this video into the algorithm. And if you aren't subscribed to the platform already, make sure you do so now. Let's get into it. "44-year-old Daniel Christopher Hayden, who was originally from New Jersey but moved to the Bronx section of New York, is a substance abuse counselor that wrote a book called The Sober Addict, released in 2020. In the book, Daniel speaks on overcoming addiction and gaining sobriety, as well as how to be functional with the dysfunctional disease of addiction. In the book, Daniel describes himself as an ex-professional addict with over 18 years of use and abuse experience and claims addicts don't choose addiction, addiction chooses them. In the book, he will write, quote, "My passion is to help my addicted clients successfully move through the various stages of change to prevent their deaths, not knowing that he'd be behind a couple of deaths of others." Daniel was listed with many titles as he not only identifies himself as a substance abuse counselor, but also an instructor and public speaker. But after his most recent incident where he would be the suspect and 3 people losing their lives, one of the titles Daniel can now add to his bio is inmate. This will come after Daniel will be charged with a slew of charges, such as 3 counts of driving while intoxicated with alcohol or drugs, 1 count of operating a vehicle without a license, and 3 counts of vehicular homicide. Reports say Daniel drove his gray Ford F-150 pickup truck at a high speed, running a stop sign at an intersection, jumped a sidewalk where people were celebrating the July 4th holiday, and struck a medium-sized group of people. It was around 9 p.m. at Collier's Hook Park in the Lower East Side area. Daniel will injure a total of 11 people, where 8 of them survived, but 3 of them passed away due to their injuries. 59-year-old Lucille Pinckney and her son, 38-year-old Hernan Pinckney, was amongst those that passed away, along with another woman, 43-year-old Anna Morrell. The other victims include a mother and her 11-year-old son, who fortunately survived the incident. Officers say when they got to the scene, Daniel smelled like alcohol, and they believe he was drunk, but couldn't prove it because he tried to evade sobriety tests by refusing a breathalyzer and keeping his eyes closed. With Daniel being a substance abuse counselor, police knows that he knows all the ways to prevent them from detecting whether he was drunk or not. However, when he was taken to Bellevue Hospital, according to the criminal complaint, he admitted to staff that he had just a few alcoholic drinks. At Bellevue, he was also treated for other minor injuries as he suffered from head and face laceration. This is because after plowing into the large crowd, officers believe Daniel was pulled out of the car and given street justice by people who was on the scene and witnessed what happened. Also, they were trying to make sure that he didn't flee the scene. Now, police will also note that Daniel seemed to have had a long night of drinking, which resulted in his actions. Upon further investigation, officers will find out that Daniel got into an altercation with a bouncer who refused to let him get inside of a 4th of July celebration at a bar downtown because he was too drunk then. The bouncer even agreed to give Hyde a refund of his ticket to the party due to how intoxicated he already was upon arriving. Which means that Daniel was already drinking and drunk before even getting to the bar. And if he would have gotten in, he would have just drank more. Reports say that this happened just an hour before he plowed into the crowd by Collier's Park. Now, investigators will also point out that at the time of the incident, Daniel's license was suspended. Then upon further investigation, they will also point out that Daniel has a lengthy criminal record that includes several suspensions on his license, totaling up to 4 and already had a previous DWI and summonses. His rap sheet includes a prior assault that took place in February of this year, where Daniel was charged with assault and harassment following a dispute with a teacher in New York. Not much is known about that situation, aside from him allegedly punching the teacher in the eye. Then in 2015, Daniel was charged with a traffic offense and driving under the influence in Wisconsin, and that's where the most recent DWI stemmed from. He pleaded guilty to the former charge, which was later dismissed. Now in this situation, Daniel faces up to 25 years behind bars and is currently being held without bail or bond. His next court date is August 1st, 2024, and it's been reported that Daniel is currently in protective custody. Now once again, y'all, this is a very, very unfortunate situation. My condolences go out to the families that lost someone and even the people that had to experience this. Can you imagine just partying and celebrating 1 minute and the next minute you literally fighting for your life, or in some cases you lost it? All within a split second. And even the people that was involved that didn't lose their life, just think of the trauma that they gotta go through now being in public places where they don't know if they're celebrating or just chilling and something might happen. It's definitely tough and unfortunate, and with 3 bodies under his belt, I doubt Daniel will ever see the light of day again outside of a prison. The irony that he was actually a substance abuse counselor and his behavior showed totally the opposite of what he stood for, it's pretty crazy. But once again, it just goes to show that you never judge a book by its cover. Now don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell so you're notified every time we drop new content. And remember, as long as you keep on watching, I'ma keep on dropping. And I'm out.